Today's story begins by showing a couple whose intentions don't seem quite right at first glance. In fact, their plan for the day is to rob a grocery store, and they've come fully prepared. After looting the entire store, their greed still isn't satisfied. The woman notices a box behind the cashier and insists it must be opened. The cashier warns her not to, saying what's inside isn't what she thinks, but driven by greed, she forces it open. The moment she does, a gunshot rings out. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a deserted forest, where a frightened young woman is wandering aimlessly, starving, with no one around. We don't yet know what happened to her in the past that left her in this state. For now, she spots a wooden cabin in the distance and rushes inside. There, she finds a bag filled with food. Desperate, she starts eating whatever she can grab. But then, she hears footsteps outside. Someone is approaching. Terrified, she hides under the bed. A man enters, holding an axe, but his face is hidden from us. He quietly picks up his food bag and leaves. The woman, trembling beneath the bed, waits in silence. After a while, when she feels it's safe, she decides to make a run for it. Just as she's about to leave, she collides with the same man, Tom, but instead of harming her, he helps her. The woman apologizes, admitting she stole from his food bag because she hadn't eaten in 2 days. She explains that her car had broken down, and her husband had gone to a nearby gas station for help but never returned. Coincidentally, Tom's car had also broken down, and he'd been stranded there for 3 days. Hearing this, the woman panics, thinking maybe her husband has returned. Tom goes with her to check, but there's no one. They leave a note behind, take some warm clothes, and return to the cabin. Night falls, and the temperature drops sharply. Tom offers her a blanket from her car and suggests she rest on the bed while he sleeps on the floor. Before sleeping, he gives her some water he fetched from a nearby lake. But strangely, the next day when he returns to the same spot, the lake is gone. No trace of it remains. Confused, they both try to ignore it and sleep. That night, the woman has a terrible nightmare and wakes up early. Outside, she finds a white-haired girl lying unconscious. She drags her inside. Meanwhile, Tom siphons fuel from his car, hoping to use it in hers so they can finally leave. The white-haired girl eventually regains consciousness, and we realize she's none other than the same woman who robbed the grocery store. Suspicious, she accuses the first woman of being a fraud and storms out. On his way back, Tom hears 2 gunshots and drops the fuel in fear. He shouts, but no one responds. Returning to the cabin, he finds the white-haired woman again, who introduces herself as Jody. She says she fought with her boyfriend, and he abandoned her here. She now wants to go home. Tom agrees to let her stay, but only if she helps with their work. Over time, Jody and the first woman, Samantha, start bonding. But Tom's troubles only deepen. No matter how far he tries to travel, he always ends up back at the same cabin. Disturbed, he warns them that this place isn't right, and they need to leave. Curious, he asks where they all came from. Samantha insists they're in New Hampshire. Jody argues it's Dakota. Tom swears he was driving the Los Angeles route. None of them can make sense of it. That night, Tom decides they'll set out at dawn, no matter what, to find help. As they sleep, both Jody and Tom have the same strange dream, someone injecting them with needles. Samantha dreams something similar, filled with unbearable pain. The next morning, as they prepare to leave, Samantha and Jody share more about their pasts. Samantha reveals her mother died during childbirth, and she grew up in an orphanage. Suddenly, she trips on something buried in the ground. Money falls from her clothes, shocking Tom, who demands to know where it came from. Jody admits it's her savings, taken from her boyfriend before he left. Samantha notices the object that tripped Jody, a handle sticking out of the ground. Tom smashes it open with his axe, revealing a hidden German bunker filled with wartime supplies and canned food stamped with the Nazi symbol. Samantha explains her father fought in the war, so she recognizes such items. Tom hauls out as much as he can, but once again they somehow end up right back at the same cabin. Later, as they all sit down to dinner, Jody opens up to Samantha, confessing she became a thief because she had no other options. She was uneducated and desperate. Samantha asks to see the stolen money. When Jody shows her, Samantha laughs in disbelief. The bills are marked 1984. To her, this is impossible, because according to her, the year is 1964. But Jody insists it really is 1984 for her. Shocked, Samantha realizes they're from different time periods. Tom, too, is asked what year he's from. He replies 2011. At first, he thinks they're joking, but the weight of their stories convinces him otherwise. Suddenly, gunshots echo outside. A stranger appears, holding a rifle. Hoping for help, Tom approaches, but the man speaks only in German, demanding he drop the axe. Tom complies. In the next moment, all 3 of them are captured, and when they regain consciousness, the German man has vanished. It slowly dawns on them. Maybe they've been caught in some kind of time travel trap. All three of them were now prisoners, and the German soldier had vanished. Shocked, Samantha, the one from the oldest timeline, asked Tom, "By 2011, has time travel already become possible?" Tom replied, "No, nothing like that existed." Moments later, the German returned. He untied Tom, dragged him outside, and beat him mercilessly. Finally, he tied Tom to a tree before coming back in to interrogate the two women. His eyes fell on Jody's locket, and he demanded to know about it. Since Samantha was the only one who understood German, she explained that the locket belonged to Jody's mother, and strangely enough, she had the exact same one. Enraged, the German pulled out his own identical locket. Inside was a woman's photo, one that looked exactly like Samantha's mother. Things were getting darker and more confusing. When the soldier dragged both women outside, Samantha quietly asked Tom if he also carried a locket like that. He denied it. But what the German didn't realize was that Tom had secretly freed himself from the ropes. In the next instant, the tables turned. The German was bound the same way he had tied them. Still, the three of them were drowning in their own confusion. Samantha insisted that the photo inside the locket was her mother. Tom refused to believe it. Then Jody dropped a bombshell. "That woman in the photo, she's my grandmother." Tom was stunned. That's when Samantha revealed the man's true identity. His name was Hansman. He wasn't just any stranger. He was her father. And the shocking part? When Samantha asked Jody for her birth date, she said June 3rd, 1964, the very day Samantha's mother had died giving birth, which meant Jody wasn't just some stranger. She was Samantha's daughter. Jaw-dropping, isn't it? The cabin was now filled with grief and disbelief. Samantha also discovered her husband had actually died in the war, sending her into tears as she left the cabin. But the secrets didn't stop there. Outside, Tom told Jody a painful truth. His mother had been a thief. She and her husband, Kevin, used to rob gas stations and grocery stores together. But one day, she killed Kevin. For that crime, she was hanged. Jody refused to believe it, insisting her mother was no criminal. Yet Tom swore it was the bitter truth. Unable to handle it, Jody stormed out of the cabin too. Outside, the heartbroken Samantha reunited with her daughter, Jody. The emotions were overwhelming. Samantha had always known she would die giving birth, but now she was happy because her daughter was alive. Yet Jody revealed that her grandparents had been cruel to her, keeping her hungry and mistreated. That's why she had run away as a child. Hearing this, Samantha wept, realizing the kind of life her daughter had endured. She rushed back inside, begging Hansman, her father, to understand. She even tried to free him, but Tom stopped her, warning it was too dangerous. Still, Samantha believed her father would never harm her. But the moment Hansman was freed, he grabbed his gun and escaped. At the same time, Samantha was haunted by her nightmare again, the one where she died giving birth because Adam, her husband, was away at war, and the ambulance arrived too late. Tom also revealed his nightmare of killing the abusive priest who tormented him before turning the gun on himself. And Jody? She recalled her last memory, the day of her execution. Now, all three of them realized the horrifying truth. They were trapped between life and death. They knew exactly how they were supposed to die, but hadn't yet, which meant they had the power to change their fates. Tom decided the only way was to stop Hansman's death. He dragged them back to the German bunker, explaining that everything began with Hansman's demise. If they could prevent it, maybe they could rewrite history. Samantha revealed that her father had died in an airstrike in Poland on May 14th, and today was May 14th, which meant they were standing in Poland at the very place and time of his death. Tom quickly pieced it together. If Hansman didn't die, then Samantha's mother wouldn't remarry, meaning Samantha's husband would be home when she went into labor. He could take her to the hospital on time, which meant Samantha wouldn't die giving birth. Determined, Tom searched for Hansman, who was fiddling with a broken radio in the cabin. Samantha warned him about the airstrike, but Hansman refused to listen and tried to flee. Tom chased him, but tragedy struck. Hansman fired his gun and the bullet hit Jody. Panicked, Tom and Samantha dragged her inside. Tom was devastated. If Jody died now, she would never exist, and neither would he. Desperate, he swore to stop Hansman no matter what. Meanwhile, Samantha tried to keep her daughter alive. But destiny is cruel. No human is meant to witness their own past, let alone change it. When people tamper with fate, the consequences are terrifying. Tom eventually caught up with Hansman, but no matter how far Hansman ran, he kept circling back to the cabin. Finally, the two faced each other. Hansman fired several bullets, but not one touched Tom, because as Jody's life slipped away, Tom's very existence began to vanish. His body started fading like smoke, and in the final moment, when Jody took her last breath, Tom disappeared completely. Samantha, furious with her father, blamed him for destroying not only her life but generations to come. Hansmann finally realized the truth of her words, but it was too late. Russian planes filled the skies. Bombs rained down. Both ran for safety, but Samantha was badly injured. Hansmann carried her into the bunker, but Samantha's existence too was fading, because Hansmann had survived when history said he should have died. Everything was shifting back to its correct state. The scene cut forward, to the time where the story had begun. But now, things were different. Jody walked into the grocery store again, but this time as a wealthy, educated young woman. On her way out, she saw Kevin, her former partner, but with a new girlfriend. Together, they were planning to commit the same robbery, which meant Tom would never be born, because Jody and Kevin had never met. Why? Because Samantha was still alive. In the next scene, we see her in 1964, holding her father's ashes, laying them to rest with honor. Back in the store, Kevin's new girlfriend, Amelia, carried out the robbery, but just like before, her greed wasn't satisfied. She spotted the box behind the cashier and demanded it be opened. The cashier warned her, "Don't," but she refused to listen. The moment she opened it, bang! A gunshot ended it all, and that's where the story ends. Friends, this was a mind-bending tale that twists reality, time, and fate in ways that leave you questioning everything. Tell us in the comments how you liked it. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.